Hi, I'm Sharooz. Welcome to my studio. We're here with Fact Magazine doing our thing. I've been producing music and programming and making sounds for, since I was a teenager. 15 years now. Like pretty much everything I had, I begged, borrowed and stealed to get my hands on. I just never really sold anything, even though it meant like living in the worst possible conditions. I just held on to everything I possibly had. And the one or two bits that I did sell, I ended up really regretting. Nowadays, it's just what can I actually use in my music. I wouldn't just get something and just have it sit here. I wanted to have as coherent and cohesive a collection of sounds in there as possible. These are my main drum machines, which probably get the most usage, starting with the Rolands that everyone knows, the 909 and the 808. This I got probably about like 10, 12 years ago. I got it for like 400 quid. And at the time, I thought I was getting a really bad deal because they weren't really worth that much. Down here, I've got some of the rarer drum machines. I've got the MXR-185, which it's kind of got this really cool like Justice-y kick and snare, which gets used a bit. This Hammond DPM 48, that's really cool. That's like a 707 and not many people have those. It's got really nice sort of EEPROM style sounds on it. The Korg MS-20M, that was a kit one. I tend to use that quite a lot, patching various things together. Up here I've got the 303, the 606, which the two just complement each other really nicely. The MC202, which is basically an SH-101 with a few features taken out. You can have these machines all going together. They've all got what's called DIN sync inside, and these all predate MIDI. So you have to get like a MIDI to DIN sync converter to get them all set up. I picked this up off some guy who lived in a farm like 15 years ago. I got it for 200 quid, and these have gone up quite a bit in value as well. So, this was quite an astute purchase, but I would never sell any of this stuff. Pro One, massive classic synth. It's quite versatile. You can go like really crazy on the bass with it and get some really nice lead sounds. So this is the Electron Analog 4. I just love this box. It's sometimes a little bit of a challenge to program it just using this screen, and obviously they've got the overbridge software now that makes it a lot easier. Presets are absolutely brilliant. It's got some really nice like 303 type sounds as well. It's really, really sick. Yeah, I actually just play it in using that keyboard. That's how I record it in, this little mini keyboard thing here. 707, this is one of my favorite drum machines of all time. Recent acquisition, apparently Mark Ronson owned it. It was on all the records I liked as a kid, really. So one of the first things I remember hearing was like the clap. And then the sequencer is really cool on it as well. Like you can just put together these beats like really easily on it. really nice swing in it. You can do all sorts of cool stuff. This one's midied up. I've had this studio for, I guess, 10 years, and you know, I've done quite a bit of DJing and obviously with Sample Magic, sound design stuff. The first thing I got would probably be the Juno 106. I mean, that was just the synth that you would buy in the mid-90s. You know, it was like, I played in guitar bands, and if you wanted to have a synth, I mean, you could get like kind of like the Roland D50s and all that kind of stuff, but they just sounded so cheesy. Okay, so this is one of my synth racks. Starting up here with the Korg Poly 61. Got a really nice arpeggio too. And it gets really out of tune randomly, so that just adds to the charm a bit, you know? This is a DW-8000. This is another Korg 80 synth. This is so rare. I've never really seen these, but they just have really nice warm string sounds in them. It's got a really nice arpeggiator as well. Trying to get it to shut up's a bit of a challenge. I use this a lot for bass lines actually. It's got a really massive chorus as well, which without the chorus and with the chorus, it's a totally different beast. I use it a lot for the pads and leads as well. You can get some quite cool stuff up here. This is the Clavier Nordlead 3. The 4 is a really good synth too, but I just kept my 3s. They're just so weird and wonderful. I MIDI clock this and then just go to town with arpeggios and then just do all sorts of crazy shit. It's not the warmest synth, but like what you can do in terms of frequency modulation and stacking things on top of each other just makes it really a joy to use. Akai MPC 60 Mark I. Had this for years. It's got really interesting history actually. Used to belong to the guys from King Unique. They were called Funk Force at the time, and they gave me all their discs, and there's like hundreds of old sampled sequences and drum hits, and I've loaded one of the sequences in. This is from one of the first records they did in Defected, like probably 10-15 years ago, and if you scan it forward you can like, it starts to like groove quite nicely, and it's got all the original drum hits in it. Got a really nice swing. This machine's known for its this timing correct thing basically. Drumulator. This has got a really interesting box actually. This was used on some Depeche Mode stuff. Jupiter 6, that's like my favorite synth of all time. So many classic records have been done with it, and for pads and arpeggios it's second to none. I trigger it from the rim shot out of the 707 and then just hold an arpeggio down. You saw me do that earlier. Using a patch bass kind of cool because I can record like 8 things at once, but it's hard to actually have everything working together. You can definitely have too much stuff. Like, I'm not in any way advocating that you need to have all this stuff to make good music. I've seen people use a beat up MacBook Pro without even proper monitors make really cool sounds. So for me, you know, 70% of it is just the passion of sound and creating using hardware. I don't think that it's necessary to my sound really.